Today in college football, buckle up. Like, it is about to be chaotic, and I can't wait for
Kyle
it.
McCord, find you a
Really,
new home,
Kyle
dog.
McCord jumped in. Walter Nolan,
Big
from
Walt.
Texas A&M,
Let's
Come
call
on
him.
home,
jumped
dog.
in the transfer portal.
Back in the car.
I saw a defensive back, Jair Brown,
Yes, from New
from
Orleans.
Ohio State, from New Orleans.
Come on home,
Jumped
buddy.
into the transfer portal, still has 3 years of eligibility remaining. I saw a big wide receiver from Vanderbilt,
Yeah, Shepard. Will Shepard.
Will Shepard from New Orleans.
Yep.
2,000-yard wide. He's got 2,000
He's a
yards
stud.
receiving. I mean, he's a player. LSU looking for a receiver. Some of the storylines that we've seen over the past couple of years of things happening within the transfer portal is Louisiana guys being targeted by LSU. You've had some Louisiana kids over the last 24 hours put their name into the transfer portal, as well as some guys that LSU had high on their list during their recruitment. And those guys like Walter Nolan had high on his list for LSU. So we'll see what shakes out. Elijah Robinson, the defensive line coach, who I was keeping my eyes on over at Texas A&M, as a possibility of maybe being landed over here at LSU and served as the interim coach for Texas A&M when Jimbo Fisher was fired late in the season, has been hired by Syracuse. Syracuse's new head coach, Fran Brown. Fran Brown coached the DBs at Georgia, was announced as Syracuse head coach last week. He turned to Elijah Robinson to make him his defensive coordinator. So Robinson leaving College Station, which I can tell you is big news for the rest of the SEC, because Robinson is not only a fantastic on-the-field coach, he is a tremendous recruiter. And we saw as soon as that news hit yesterday that Elijah Robinson was taking the Syracuse defensive coordinator job, as soon as Gabe Relaford was wrapping up his visit in Baton Rouge, he put out a message on social media that he is decommitting from Texas A&M. So things starting to hopefully line up for LSU.
Home is where the heart is.
As far as possibilities go for these recruits. LSU does need to close. I will say this. I still feel very firm and confident on what this show was putting out last week, and the message that we were saying that LSU is going to hold with Matt House at defensive coordinator, and there will be some shakeups in the position groups on the defensive side of the ball, notably on the defensive line and in the secondary. And I could see some big names starting to emerge here pretty quick for LSU. I did have my eyes on Elijah Robinson. I would keep an eye out for Bo Davis over at Texas, the defensive line coach. Davis played at LSU. He's a guy that has been on Nick Saban's staff, both at LSU and Alabama. He also took a bullet for Saban in Alabama with some recruiting stuff that happened a couple of years ago, and went to the defensive line in the NFL, went and coached the defensive line in the NFL after a 2-year show cause in the NFL, jumped on Steve Sarkisian's staff over at Texas, and has been doing a tremendous job of recruiting the University of Texas for Sarkisian and for the Longhorns. And LSU has seen him in many living rooms over the past couple of years in recruiting as far as going head-to-head. And some people may ask, why would he move from Austin to Baton Rouge? Well, like I said, he played here, and that is something that I think LSU is throwing their hat around. I would say the same about Corey Raymond, the former LSU defensive backs coach, a guy that played here, a guy that has so long of success in coaching here. Those would be two names I would say to watch up for a shakeup in the defensive room. And like we said last week, I believe that they will hold on House, and I would keep an eye out for defensive line movement in a guy like Bo Davis, and in the defensive backfield a guy like Corey Raymond. So we'll have to wait and see. But here from some people that I've had a chance to talk to, I think those are some names to keep an eye out for.
Bo Davis was like the Brad Davis hire, if it were to go that way, where it just kind of sneakily makes sense. Why would Brad Davis leave Arkansas? He's doing a great job there with all intents and purposes. He was putting together a great offensive line at Arkansas. But then when that LSU phone rings, then he was like, yeah, I'm going home. For Bo Davis, it feels a lot of the same thing. He's from Mississippi, but Bo Davis, when you have those LSU ties, same thing with Corey Raymond. Whenever that phone call comes, it's almost like recruiting, where it just means a little bit more to wear those 3 letters, even as a coach. Like they know what it can be here, and so when you get that phone call, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're hanging on. You know what I mean? Like, that's their recruiting pitch.
Right.
A guy like Brad Davis is from Baton Rouge. He grew up, understanding the power of LSU and the monster that it could be if he had that behind his back as a recruiter. And he's shown it. He's proven it. So we'll see. Could be some names to watch out for. And some
Brad Davis, Bo Davis, Corey Raymond, and Frank Wilson.
Bryce Langston in the portal.
Cortez Hankton.
Like
Joe Sloan.
This is the staff that you thought, like,
if you look at the offensive side of the ball, you have dominant recruiters.
Oh,
Brad Davis is dominant at his position group. Just look at the commitments and the guys that he's brought in. Cortez Hankton is dominant as a recruiter at wide receiver. Frank Wilson's one of the best recruiters in the country. And obviously Mike Denbrock has proven that he has been a closer. He may not be a living room guy, but he's a guy that you can recruit back to. And then, of course, Joe Sloan, right, where Sloan has made LSU so relevant inside quarterback conversations over the past couple of cycles that, I mean, it almost feels kind of weird with as much as quarterbacks talking about LSU. It looks like they're going to close on Bryce Underwood here in just over a month, as Underwood's going to make his decision on January 6th. You've got Harlem Berry. You've got DK Moore. Guys in future classes. But then you look at the defensive side, and this is, what we've talked about. You've got to find some guys that can win both in the living room and on the field. Guys that can close in the living room and guys that can teach it and coach it as far as X and O's are on the field. And I think that's, that's what they have to really zone in on. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical, Hughes Mechanical AC. Hughes Mechanical is online at hughesmechanical.net. You can get in touch with them today for residential or commercial HVAC services. They're located in Zachary, but have offices all along I-10 on South Baton Rouge, South Louisiana corridor. They have an office in Covington. They're located and headquartered here in Zachary, so you can get in touch with Hughes Mechanical for residential or commercial HVAC services. Call Travis Hughes today, 225-658-2147, 225-658-2147. Most trusted and experienced professionals as far as HVAC services go. Let them come service yours today. Find out that they are a trusted Daikin dealer. You can find them online at hughesmechanical.net, hughesmechanical.net. So hopefully some of the movement here that we've seen with decommitments and transfer portal, LSU will be able to jump aboard and get and get some good news on. Obviously, Gabe Relaford jumps to the top of the list of somebody to watch who just decommitted from Texas A&M over the weekend and has LSU obviously high on the high on the list.
It's everything that LSU needs to add to the portal because you lost one in a room that you're pretty much starved for talent. Terrence Welch hits the portal, which was I don't know if it was a shocker, but it just seems like a guy that was kind of getting some reps and some playing time in a place where it's available. You see Welch hit the portal, and it should be cause for concern, I would imagine. But it feels like with the shakeup that LSU is going to be able to add some talent to that room if they're able to close or make the hires that it feels like they're going to or should. Like Corey Raymond, you allow him to do his thing. And I know people are talking about 2020 and 2021. LSU was broken. You really can't pin that on a defensive backs coach.
You know what the roster looked like in 2020 and 2021? Like, people they can talk all they want about what the play on the field looked like, but they don't even know what the depth looked like, what the roster looked like. LSU was barely too deep at DB in 2020 and 2021. Shit, they were barely too deep at DB in 2022 and 2023. So, I mean, these issues stem far beyond Corey Raymond.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If you put him back in a position where he feels like he has job security, and especially under a coach like Brian Kelly, where he ain't going anywhere.
10 years.
Last stop on the Kelly
Caravan.
The Kelly Caravan. So, like, if you give him that kind of security of, like, all right, let me do my deal. Same thing with Frank. Like, let me do my deal. And now you're starting to put the pieces in line in the coaching staff that helps Brian Kelly do the things that you've wanted to see happen where, okay, recruit in state, get those guys. And now when you bring in a guy, if you bring in a Corey Raymond, if you bring in a Brad Davis, Bo Davis, like those are the guys that can help you get the talent that is visible, even if it's a 3-star, 4-star. Like Frank will bang on the table for guys that he knows can play.
Sure.
And that's what Brian Kelly needs. Like put your staff together, let them do their deal.
I mean, Bernard Causey was in town this weekend. Guys like that.
Kid's a stud.
I mean, that's who you got to get. That kid will be playing every down in 2 years at LSU.
Mm-hmm. And talking a lot of shit.
Right. I mean, in New Orleans.
Getting pass breakups.
LSU,
getting interceptions.
I mean, DBU. Get back to it. Recruiting those types of athletes. Those types of players.
And then just be Brian Kelly. Then you don't have to worry so much. You could be CEO Brian Kelly. You don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
Trust your staff.
You don't have to be in the defensive meeting room every day.
Right. And if it feels like Matt House is coming back, this is why you would kind of put that puzzle together. Build a staff that can help you recruit if you're not into that because he's a former NFL guy. And then you just worry about the defense. Now you have the players that can play. Scheme them up.
Yeah.
Do your deal.
Some other big names that have jumped into the transfer portal over the last 24 hours. How about Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord?
That is like so insane. I guess they told him to leave.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They must be bringing somebody in.
Aaron Nolan is like the number 1 or 2 quarterback in the country. He's coming in next year. So,
and
I guess they're just
who's
moving
the
on now.
Transfer portal? Oh,
No,
going into Ohio State.
Yeah, he's a high school prospect. But, I mean, I guess they're just like, Kyle.
Yeah. So, it's over, buddy.
Yeah.
It's over.
Scoot.
Texas A&M defensive lineman Walter Nolan
Big Walt.
entering the transfer portal.
Florida State's probably calling. You start talking about those $1 million offers. Obviously, you saw Miami with their transfer portal graphic or commitment graphic.
Yeah.
The money's out there.
Florida State probably is for sure calling because they'll lose Verse, they'll lose Fisk, they'll lose a couple of just big D linemen.
Arizona
Nasty
State
guys.
transfer defensive back Jordan Clark.
Ooh.
I'll take him too.
Ryan Clark's son
Nice little nickel.
is in the transfer portal. Arizona State right now. He visited Notre Dame, I believe, over the weekend. How about LSU running back Trey Bradford?
Week
Starter.
one,
In the
week
portal.
one and then disappeared on us, huh, Trey?
Should have scored.
Yeah, should have scored.
Texas Tech offensive tackle Monroe Mills seems to be a big name that's getting some love out there right now.
Got tackles, coach.
Notre Dame cornerback Ryan Barnes, transfer portal.
Probably a BK guy.
Is Malik Murphy in the portal?
I think people are making a run at him.
Malik Murphy. Oh,
Back up at Texas.
Arch got a little time Saturday.
I saw that.
Like, yeah, look at Arch. The crowd goes nuts. Derek Williams is so good.
So good.
He makes so many plays, and it hurts to see him in
But you get Corey back.
orange.
Jacoby Matthews is the one I'm watching for.
I know.
Just make
I mean, with
just do
Elijah
it.
Robinson leaving, new defensive coordinator in town,
I don't know about old Elko.
Jimbo out. Come on, Jacoby.
Come on,
Come on, Jacoby.
home.
I mean, there's so much playing time.
There had to be
here.
a shakeup in the NIL deal with everybody leaving, huh?
Like Jimbo ain't here no more. We can't pay you that $800K.
Yeah, it's
all we got is $5.
It's a reset. A&M's got to kind of like you, especially with a guy like Walter Nolan hitting the portal, where you're like, okay, those are the big money guys that they clearly.
They had to dig in the collective to pay Jimbo, probably.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of money
Not at
going a
A&M.
lot of different ways at A&M, and so if you want to just Kansas City shuffle your way over to LSU, if you're Jordan Matthews,
I'm not saying they took it out of the collective, but somebody out of the collective
for sure.
had to back
I mean,
out to pay Jimbo.
That was whoever cut that check,
oh, he was on the field.
big
Yeah.
dick. You know what I mean?
That check
Like,
was on the field.
He was the one that was like, hey, tell Stoops, fly back to Lexington. We're not doing that deal.
Call Elko at Duke.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to go with Elko.
You want this check or not?
You got that, Ross?
If you get, I'm not buying out Jimbo if you
Yes,
don't get
sir.
Elko.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Damn it.
Yes, sir.
Damn it, I
it.
wanted this.
My bad. Sorry about that.
You forgot how this works?
I mean, Jordan Matthews, too. Didn't really play that much at Tennessee this year.
Is he in the portal?
No, he's not. But,
Oh.
I mean,
I was about to say.
might as well come back home,
There's
be
no-
with all your
I mean, I'm
boys.
refreshing the transfer portal Twitter account all day.